What's up, guys? Welcome to Knights of Honor. That was the end of the intro music there. This game was my very first series here on YouTube, and you can go check it out. It's a lot different. It's a much different time between now and the original series of my channel. This is one of my all-time favorite games. It was made by Black Sea Studios, pretty much my all-time favorite development studio. Published by Paradox, another one of my favorites. And honestly, this game is just amazing. Basically, we're just going to go to play on Europe, the full campaign mode. You can play with friends, although it does require either a TCP/IP, a LAN, or GameSpy, which I don't think GameSpy exists anymore. But a TCP/IP connection or a local area network connection. It's actually plugged into another computer with like Ethernet or Wi-Fi. I've never actually played multiplayer before, but as I understand it, it's not a multiplayer campaign, just multiplayer battles, and that's not as much fun. What I really love about this game is its campaign. So we're going to start early, hard, of course. For me, this game's not that hard. It might be for some other people, but you can see all the countries that you can select in the very beginning of the game. Pretty straightforward, but actually, it's even easier. Look at the map. What do you want to play? What country are you interested in Europe? Now, this is not as in-depth as modern games like Crusader Kings or Europa Universalis. This game is not as in-depth, but it's a really good introduction to how those types of games work. It's kind of a simplified version of a grand strategy game, which I really love. It's just fun to sit down, play through a little bit. It's really easy, simple to get a handle of. So you can play as a small little one like Leinster, Munster, the Highlands. You can go over here to Zeta or Bosnia. You can even play as little old Georgia, maybe even the Abbasids. Or you can play as a massive empire. Byzantines, the Fatimids, Germany, France, Lithuania, Poland, Kiev, Sweden, Novgorod. Big, big empires out here. You cannot play as the papacy unless you use cheats. All the cheats are available online. I don't actually remember any of them, but I know you can play as the papacy if you use cheats. It's not very exciting. It really isn't. Italy's always interesting to play with, but we're going to be Germany. For the sake of this Take a Peek episode, we're going to be Germany because it's quick, it's easy. I can show you all facets of the game really, really fast. I don't have to build up to it. In my series, I start out as Ulster, and the end goal for the entire game is to conquer all of Europe. All of it. Once you conquer all of Europe, you win. It's really hard to do. You know, how can you imagine little Ulster coming up against Grand Germany? Well, watch the playthrough and you'll see. Anyways, we're going to start as Germany. I can show you guys a lot really fast here. Game starts out.
Back to the
Start with a marshal. Can I pause? Where's the pause? P? I don't remember how to pause. Whatever, we don't need to pause. We're fine.
What is your wish?
So your marshal, if you don't know what a marshal is, basically that's a military controller. Also, you notice the little thing up here where it says Knights of Honor, all that. That's because this game is really hard to record. So the windowed mode that I'm playing it in is restricted. Okay, look at the main map real quick. We will be going that way. Okay.
What is your wish?
I've not played this game in such a long time. You'd think I'd just like go right back into it. Wait, there it is. That's the button. That's the button. Okay. Sorry. I got it now. I know what we're doing.
Home sweet home.
Alright, so we're going to move our marshal over to Flanders right away. Pretty straightforward, just kind of a point and click. So I'm just going to use example. So my king, Autumn, you can use your people to be a whole bunch of different things. Your marshal, a spy, a merchant, a cleric, and a landlord, and a builder. Now, these are all pretty straightforward. Your marshal, your spy, you know, military, espionage, economy, religion, and then your landlord and builder. This is to help your local provinces, that one specific city. Faster at building, faster at growing, whatever you want it to do. So we're going to go merchant. And we're going to trade with, well, we don't really have any good trade agreements right now, but we're going to make all of the royal court merchants. If we wanted to, we could also promote a knight. We could just buy a guy. It costs 1,000 gold to buy anyone. The gold count up here, book count, and religion, piety count, as well as kingdom power up here. Kingdom power is very important, as the tooltip says, and it actually can be a complete game changer. You really want kingdom power. We'll go ahead and increase that now. No, we won't. We don't have the money to increase it right now. We're making a good bit of money, though. We want to trade with some good kingdoms, right? Well, France is pretty powerful. Let's offer a trade agreement to France. They said, yes, great. This way. The Byzantines, they're big. They'd be good to trade with. Okay, so only if we agree to a marriage between princess and prince, which probably is my princess, which I don't want to... I don't want to marry off my own princesses, though they will remain unmarried. So this is the royal family. This is your character as played in the game. You can see their stats through their 5 different areas, and it's out of 3 stars. The more stars, the better off you're going to be. For example, in economy, you can see the king bonus is 42, because our king is really pretty good at economy. Not the best, but not terrible. You see Henry, our heir, is really bad. Albrecht really isn't any better. It's just, what do I want? Warfare, espionage? I guess I'll choose Henry. He'll stay the heir, but you can choose your heir. You can change them as you want. So if I go, whoops, that's the wrong one. That's the wrong one. If I want to, I can make him the heir. No one's upset if I change who the heir is. It's just a matter of fact. Alright, so now we have some good trade partners. We have the Fatimids, they're 14. That's much better. We have France for 10. That's pretty good. Kind of looking for one more. Can we get, like, Zenata? Trade with you? Only if there was a marriage. I will decline that. Berbers, perhaps? A trade agreement? Wonderful. Thurid. Trade agreement. Great. And I also noticed, let me show you on the main map. You see Zerid has a prince and a princess. But we need our heir to be married. So let's go ahead and get a royal wedding between Henry and maybe the Princess of Zerid. Okay, my family is not the greatest importance within Europe, so Zerid is, you know, we're not strong enough to look after ourselves. Fair enough, we haven't built a military yet. What about France? Are you up for, well, can you do a royal marriage? Can. Someone crossed our borders. We've got to deal with that here. If I would give them, wow, Flanders, then yes, they would agree to the deal. I decline. So what happened? Croatia invaded Carinthia. Apparently we're at war with... Are we at war with anyone? We are at war with Croatia. They're attacking Carinthia. Okay. I need to deal with this right now. Let's get our marshal. We'll send him... Whoops. Send him to Carinthia. As long as a marshal stays inside of the city, they keep their food supplies and they don't deteriorate over time. When they're outside on the battlefield or just outside of cities, they deteriorate over time. So what Croatia's doing right now is they took their marshal and their small military, large military. Go to Tyrolia first. We're going to pick up some more peasants. They took their military and now they're plundering. They're destroying my harbor. Now, they'll destroy it. They'll succeed in doing that.
Kingdom power has increased.
But it'll rebuild over time. When it's plundered, I won't be able to get anything positive out of it. But eventually it'll rebuild and I'll be able to do as I need to with it. We're just going to kind of ignore them for now. Not a big deal. So in each city, you have what resources it has. So this has game land and pastures. And then nothing. It only has 2. And then you have, of course, the buildings. So you start with a town watch, an inn, a moat, and a stable. But we can also build any of these buildings listed here as long as it's lit up. So we can't build any of these right now because it has the prerequisites. Castle farm in the tool smithy or a sheep farm. So we want to go here and we want to build a tool smithy because tool smithies are pretty much awesome. And that'll take some time. You can see we get +5 gold for every, or +5 production every tick. It's 119 gold every tick as well. And this will be done eventually. You can see the progress bar up here. And this is for every single province. So when you've got a whole bunch of provinces going together all at once, just go around and just, you can see it starts lining up. Now, these are tax collectors' offices. I don't want a tax collector's office, so let's go and get rid of that. Boom. No more tax collector. It's gone, and we're done. Croatia invaded Carinthia again. Second army. Okay, so that army was taking camp. I don't know if you saw that there very briefly. But that army was taking camp. They were waiting. Where are you, Marshal?
My liege.
Right there. There we go. It's taking camp. So they're resting. They're using fewer food supplies, and they are keeping their morale a little bit higher. Get into Tyrolia. Get a whole bunch of peasants. And then we need to get you over here to Carinthia, like, right now. So armies only move as fast as their slowest soldiers. I mean, that's pretty straightforward. Most people understand that. Cavalry is obviously faster than... cavalry is faster than infantry, so now that I added peasants to this military, it's going to be a bit slower than when it was just the marshal by himself. We'll be okay. Trade with Zirid for a little bit extra gold. So basically, in this game, like I said, you can play as big nations, you can play as small nations. For the most part, the game is pretty straightforward. What you're seeing, what I'm doing right here, is almost the entire game. A little bit more detail. You have your risk of rebellion that's changed, plus or minus. So obviously the plus is good. Our kingdom power reduces our risk of rebellion. But they don't like our tax collector's office, so it's kind of annulled there. They're also not happy that we're exhausted by war. We've been at war for a while. And that we've had plundering in the province. So we have to be a little bit careful. We're going to take this town guard. We're going to move him over here. It's part of the main military. We're going to add whatever we have left. And then I'm going to show you guys real quick just kind of how combat works in this game. Now, what I can do is I can just let the AI duke it out and we'll be fine. Just tell them to fight and they'll fight. What I'm going to do, though, is we're going to lead the battle. And I'm going to show you the other part of this game that's a possibility, that kind of leans towards more the Total Rome style. You have a very limited army size based off of whatever you've built. We're going to take all of you, you. Okay, we're going to take all of you. We're going to tighten the formation. And get up here. Get up on the high ground. We're going to take you and we're going to tighten your formation. And you're going to be back here over in the trees. Now, what are they attacking with? They have swordsmen, which are very strong, spearmen, which are very strong, and then some peasants. So you can see their stats right here if you hover over it. It doesn't mean much until you start comparing it to other guys. And then you really start to understand that it really makes a big difference on their chance to kill, squad size, morale. See, it's raining. We are apparently losing. Oh, because they showed up. Okay, so the AI brought in reinforcements. The other army that was nearby is reinforcing, and that's going to be a problem for us. However, we have the high ground. Let's go and take you two. Charge. You three, charge. We're going to charge straight into them. Obviously, we want our knights to fight the swordsmen, not the spearmen. Okay, so we can hear the enemy crying right now. They don't want to die. They want out of here. Oh, geez. Thunderstorm. Okay, get out of here. Back up, back up, back up. Don't chase him. Don't chase him. Back up, back up, back up. You have to be very careful because the other army's coming. We're forcing them to surrender. We're forcing them to retreat and to surrender. So our losing slightly has been reduced to just losing. That's projected. If the AI were controlling the game, we would just outright lose. However, the AI is not very good at the game, so we can put our cavalry in the back. Because if your marshal dies, you lose. Alright, then everyone charge together. Become one ginormous blob. Except we're going to keep our knights back here a little bit. You can see how much stamina they have left here in the bottom for whether or not they're able to charge. Oh, don't. Oh, God, you're going to die. Okay. Get in there. Charge. Charge, 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 charge. Good. Okay, so now that we all have them there, widen up, increase how large of an area that we can attack. So obviously wide is better against archers. Narrow is better against infantry. But using both wide and narrow together. Whoa, 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 whoa. Shit, shit, shit. Okay, well, apparently we're fighting over here. Where are you guys going? Ah! Get out of here. Okay, we're okay. Looks like we're really demoralized right now. Get over there. Widen out and take care of them. Okay, their marshal's coming back. We got to be careful because if they take out my marshal, I automatically lose. Go, go, go. But if we can take out their marshal, then they lose. Now, they have two marshals in here, so we have to be careful. Kill both marshals and we win. We kill one marshal and one of the armies is gone right away. Narrow yourselves. And just generally get yourself over here. Although you three can focus on this one regiment. Okay, spread out. Go get them. Tactics are very straightforward. They're not very interesting. But they do make a difference. Now, I'm losing miserably at this point because our morale, as denoted up here, is really, really bad. And that's kind of unfortunate, but I'm rusty, so, you know, what am I going to do? Their marshal. They have two left for their marshal. One of them. But at the very least, I want to be able to just take this guy out. Obviously, pitchforks are not the best of weapons. But knights are very, very strong. And heavy cavalry is very strong. We killed one of them. That brought our morale way up. Unfortunately, we need to retreat at this point. So if we go here, we retreat. Yes.
Your marshal has fled.
Fled the battle, but that's okay. We can run back here, and you can see we now have 1 gold star down here, which means we can use... We can upgrade our marshal. There's 6 upgrade slots. Each upgrade has 3 different separate upgrades. What we're going to do is we're going to make tactics so we can fortify a camp. We're going to restore all squads, which costs only money. That's done. This is the number of people and the amount of food. And you can see it costs people and food to do this. Kind of pointing that out. What? Trade agreement? Sure. York invaded Flanders.
Yes, my lord.
Alright, so now we're good to go. Our morale's better. And our army has been reinforced. We can see that their morale is not perfect. That's okay. We can create a little fortified camp. You can see the difference between a camp and a fortified camp is the walls, but it doesn't do us any good right here. We're just going to charge back in there. We'll just tell the AI to fight this time while we go deal with some other stuff. See, we're already winning, and it was a very easy win. He just ran away immediately. If we make a fortified camp, you can see now we're shooting him with arrows. It's a pretty good strategy. Just go ahead and use fortified camps to pick off enemies, to weaken them out a little bit. And then when they make camp like that, attack them. The AI is very good against... basically, the AI is good against itself when it's in a camp. York invaded Flanders. Let's get up there to Flanders. Flanders! And they're, like, coming to the city. Okay, now we have peasants inside the city. We'll be a little bit safer. He's coming right for the city.
Warm food at last.
You come over there. We gotta go to Flanders. That, because we don't need it. Build a tool smithy. You can see it's balanced for now. We don't have a lot of food. Could have used it. So, we'll break siege, and I will lead it.
This is the enemy we must crush.
They're trying to take our city, so this is kind of what a city battle looks like. It's fairly similar. You do have siege weapons later in the game. You can build siege weapons, and they can do all sorts of interesting stuff. But as far as like really epic siege weapons, you're really not going to get that here. They're coming up here. We do have smaller numbers, so fighting in a narrow area could be beneficial. Notice we do have these special units called town guards. It's because we built the town guard watch house, and they are much better than peasants. They're way better than swordsmen. They're very, very strong units. 2 town guards can stand toe-to-toe with marshals and heavy knights. And they're just extra units you have. So you can call in your army, and 2 full armies, 2 completely full armies, plus your town guards, plus your natural city defense. You can have a lot more men than the opposition. Taking cities can be very difficult if you do it right. Alright, we're gonna put the town guards up front, peasants right nearby. Now with trained military like the town guards, you can change what formation they have. You can see we have them in wedge right now. We could box them up just like we have with the peasants. We can put them in a line, which I will do, and then you can also change what direction they are or how widespread they are. Not too concerned about that right now. We could charge and get out, but there's no point. They only brought half their military, which is kind of silly, but whatever. They're breaking down the gates. Get you over here. Alright. Take you guys and just open the gates and charge. You can see everyone just streams into it because they're all narrow formation. They can all stream in there together. And then we go to a wide formation, and we have extra guys at the front line compared to them. And our peasants are fighting right alongside. I know it's nothing spectacular to look at, but when the battle is over, it'll be very obvious where the battle happened, because there'll just be a ton of bodies right there.
The enemy is besieging one of our towns.
So we are losing, and this really is not a great example of how military combat in the game works. But sometimes you win, sometimes you lose, and I just happen to be not in the best of positions right now. If I had a marshal, it would be a much different story. But unfortunately, I don't have a marshal. That's just not something that I have resources for right now. I could hire a marshal. I probably should.
One of our towns and a province, my lord.
Yeah, I can't reinforce because, again, I don't have any marshals, so going to zoom out to the strategic map, and it'll take care of it for me. You can see we're losing slightly, but I can hire a marshal and put him in Flanders and say reinforce. And so now we have a marshal in Flanders, but if we want to, we can hire another marshal in Flanders and have 2 marshals. So now we're winning decisively.
Yet another glorious victory.
Yes, my lord.
And we just outright won just because we quickly hired some marshals and threw them in there, and the AI took over from there. We're going to actually increase our knight squad attack And you also got a full star from that battle. Pretty impressive. We're going to do the same thing for you. Night Squad
I
attack.
am skilled now.
We're actually just getting hammered from a whole bunch of different sides right now, and there's a lot to deal with. But
Your books, sir.
in short, your books you can use on, for
I am at your
example,
disposal,
these
my
merchants or other assorted non-combat units, and you can educate them, making them produce more of whatever resource it is that they have. You
Your
can
gold, sir.
obviously look at your money. We're going to turn our taxes to 0. We can see our tax income is 4. So we'll just have no taxes. It'll make the people happy and less likely to rebel. Or I could put them way up and tax them very harshly. Or I could even do a war tax, which would give me 4,200 right now. Obviously, I don't need that, but it's a possibility.
Your piety, sire.
And the piety of what we have that pretty much helps us do kingdom power stuff.
You have increased your kingdom power.
Changing religions is very, very expensive.
Your
Like I mentioned before, we have our dynasty.
and his kin.
We have our library, so this is our, your facts, your how do you play the game, that sort of stuff. It's all inside the game, which is very helpful. Another aspect of the game is the kingdom advantages. So this is actually really cool. As you unlock resources by building buildings, you can, horses, salt, wax, and leather, for example, you can get these kingdom advantages. And these just make you just stronger in general. So for example, if I got crop rotation, it would give me it would allow my farmers to exploit your farmlands even more, increase the food output by 1, and 100 additional storage within the towns, which is a lot. The towns naturally have 100 storage of food. You can increase that with buildings, and you can increase the farm output with buildings as well. But if you get crop rotation, it's just a global increase regardless of buildings, which gives you more slots to build different buildings instead of food buildings. You need food to get some, well, pretty much all military, and the more food you have, the better off your cities are going to be against sieges, and the faster they're going to grow. Your province overview is essentially your ledger. You can see the rebellion risk, the amount of people that are there, how much food it produced, how many books it produces, how much religion it brings in, and then how much gold it makes for you, as well as what it's currently building. You can sort it based on however you want. It's a ledger. Pretty straightforward. The kingdom rankings tells you, overall we are number 2, second only to the Byzantines. In the largest kingdoms, we're number 2. We have 13 provinces. Military strength, we're 83 military strength right now. That's not very strong. You can see the Byzantines are far, far stronger. Wealthiest, highest trade, most respected, most hated, and happiest population. You notice that our income keeps changing. Marshall's wages are taking up 50. However, inflation, if we start having too much money, will take over and we'll start losing money because our bank balance is too large. When trying to build some really huge projects that take a lot of gold, inflation can become an issue. But really the answer is never to tax. Taxing doesn't work very well. And then of course the political overview like I was showing before. This basically shows you everything about the world that you need to know in relation to other nations. So we have political borders, we have our relations. So we're Germany, Croatia hates us, but Bohemia likes us. We're good friends with East Anglia, but York is not so happy. France doesn't give a crap, Burgundy doesn't give a crap, Italy doesn't care. See just different stances that they take. France is more likely to do good to me, whereas Croatia is more likely to do bad to me, as well as Sweden up north. The different religions, pretty straightforward. Catholic, Orthodox, Islam, pagan, 4 main religions in the game. Rebel risk, you can only see that within your own country. And you see Salzburg and Carinthia, they have a little bit higher rebel risk, whereas Tyrolia and Flanders are really, really happy. So that works out pretty well. What goods are we producing? So you can click on province features, which again is whatever the city brings, such as the game land or the pastures or maybe fish. And you can see which provinces bring what based on what you want. And you can see the different trade goods they can produce based on what they have in there. The combinations can bring different sorts of complicated trade goods, such as dyes, actually such as the tackling. Tackling is a little bit harder to come across, so if we wanted it, we have a couple places we could build tackling in eventually. We can't right now. You know, statues could be built in 4 places. The more trade goods you produce, the better, because typically the buildings produce quite a bit of extra income for your nation. Then the exotic goods. Where are the exotic goods coming from? In the late game, you can build something called an admiralty. In the admiralty, you can import these exotic goods primarily all from Asia. Asia and Africa. So these cannot be produced anywhere, but you can see where it is being imported from later in the game when it does happen. Also where units can be produced, so we can actually produce swordsmen, it turns out, in Franconia. Eventually, we might be able to produce heavy swordsmen, as of most of Europe. However, if we wanted to make Roman infantry, that could only be done over in the Byzantines. Or if we wanted to make Varangians, again, the Byzantines, or, you know, a little bit up here in Kiev. So where you can actually build these units does change, but there are generic good units that can be built by pretty much everyone. Just not everyone, for all of them. And of course the buildings that can be built in each one. So if you really want, for example, a university, which is really good, by the way. If you want a university, well, you can build it in Lombardy, or maybe Burgundy or Languedoc. But what if you wanted an admiralty? Or sorry, this is a coast guard. If you wanted a coast guard, Rome, Tuscany, Genoa, Pomerania, and this changes every game. The map is randomly generated, so you never know what you're going to be able to build when. I've had games where you could pretty much never build a university, or where you could build quite a few. This one you can build quite a few universities, which is pretty impressive. Libraries are much more common, and they are very good as well. Of course, the markets, which can be built by everyone, they're pretty easy, but you need the tax collector's office to build the market. Markets are very good, but they do cost you some happiness in your population with the tax collector. But if you get markets, you can also get the Merchants Guild. Again, very limited building. This is all listed in the prerequisites. We can't build a mosque. Well, we can build a mosque, but actually we can build a cathedral, because we're not Islamic. But we can build a cathedral. It also is extremely rare. But all the prerequisites for all this is... they're all listed in the buildings. So where's... no. So if we want to go in here to buildings, we want to build... well, we want to build a sculptor's guild, so we need a quarry. Or we want to build a wax maker, so we need an apiary. All listed in there. You know, if we want gate towers, we need stone walls. Well, right now we have palisades. We can upgrade them to stone walls with a simple click. It's going to start building stone walls. We'll have stone walls that'll let us build wall upgrades. But if we wanted any like special armor stuff, we need an armory, which can be found right here. You can also turn a swordsmith into a mastersmith, as with spearmaster, bow fletcher, like master thing. Pretty much most military buildings and most buildings in general in this game can be upgraded in some form. However, not all, so you'd have to be careful. You can only build one at a time. So if I wanted to build an inn as well, I can click on it, but I can't actually build it, because right now we're building a stone wall. Can hurry the production, but it costs a lot of money. So we're not going to do that right now. Anyways, this grand strategy game is actually pretty impressive. Once you learn how to play it, it's pretty easy. Again, I recommend going back, looking at my old playthrough of the game, and it's... I kind of show you exactly really what you need to do in the game in order to make it successful. I'm not really doing any of that right here, but I'm showing you what the game looks like. I mean, we have Forgot to mention we have farms, villages, and a church somewhere. There we go. And churches, monasteries out here. They all produce stuff. This, a mercenary camp. So if I took a marshal, let's just hire a marshal in Franconia. Hire marshal Franconia.
Let us restock and rest. My liege, if you insist.
Okay. So we can actually hire up these mercenaries. They cost a lot of money, but they can get you units you would not otherwise have access to quite so easily. So now all of a sudden we have a professional army
Back to the castle.
from the steppes. This is a very eastern army, and it could make a big difference. In general, these are just pretty useful to have for like city defense. So boom, all of a sudden we have a full professional army that would crush any peasants that stood in their way. And siege weapons, anything from ladders to battering rams, ballistas, and more, you can all find in here. That. York offers a ransom of 2,000 gold for one of their guys. We'll accept the ransom, sure.
Abandon your hopes.
For anyone that you
Nobody
take as
cares
prisoner in a
about
battle, you can declare war if you're not at war with them. You can ransom them off for a buttload of money. You can free the prisoner and just give him away. Or you can execute the prisoner. And executing them pisses off a lot of people. Freeing them makes people happy. Ransoming them, no one cares about. And then, of course, declaring war. If you need a reason to declare war, there's your reason. What? Croatia offers their 7,400 gold? Sure! Now we have a ton of gold. But we have a lot of marshals' wages, so... And there's the inflation. The inflation's kicking in right now because we have too much gold. So we're losing 19 per tick due to inflation.
Kingdom power has increased.
Anyways, guys, I've shown you pretty much everything you can see here. Like I said, the game is what you see, what you... As another one of those what you see, what you get games. For a second there, I thought I was saying that wrong, but no, I was accurate in what I was saying. Anyway, but it's a fun game. I recommend picking it up on Steam. If you're new to grand strategies or you haven't really tried a grand strategy before, this is a really good, really simple introduction. If you're a veteran of grand strategies, you can still find some enjoyment in this game. Especially if you like to win, for sure, this game is much easier to win than most other games out there.
Sire, I present you the royal family.
By the way, you can claim the throne. You can just say that you are now the leader of all of Europe. So you call everyone together in an election, and all the big nations of the world down here vote. They vote for or against, you can see it right here. Against, 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 and they're all going to vote against, which makes sense. But now,
Political view.
the whole world hates me because I try to claim myself as ruler of Europe. So you want to be careful when you do that. You want to do it when you either have total control over the
We are
game,
at war.
or you're really just, you want war for some reason. But Europe, all the main powers in Europe have declared war because they don't like that I tried to take over. Of course, you can look at relations right here. This is your little key down here. But yeah, it's like 10 bucks on Steam. I was really happy when they ported it to Steam, because normally this used to be only a CD game, which made it a lot harder to do anything with it. When I actually originally recorded the series, I had the game as a CD at the time, and I didn't have it on Steam. But I went ahead and bought it on Steam. Like, it's 10 bucks, it's worth it, it's a lot of fun, and it supports a pretty awesome game studio, Black Sea Studios. I mean, I'm a big fan of that game studio. It's the only game of its kind out there that's just a simple, easy, grand strategy that's also a lot of fun to play.
Preferences.
Preferences are pretty straightforward. Again, you have your autosaves and whatnot. I'm running right now on Windows 7. It works great with modern systems. Windows 7, Windows Vista. It was originally designed for more of the Windows XP type, but you can run it on modern systems just fine from the CD or from Steam. And I think that's really great game design right there. And again, you can look through at Kingdom rankings at the very end if you so choose. So, that's it, guys. We already are way over time, so we need to end it right now. This has been Knights of Honor. I really do recommend checking it out. It's a lot of fun. The music in this game is some of my favorite music out of any game. It's just beautifully composed. So as always, guys, thanks for watching. And I will see you next time on another Take a Peek episode. This has been Knights of Honor. Seriously, guys, pick it up. It's a great grand strategy game.